Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
It's never too early to set expectations and goals for your child's education. The UA College Savings Plan provides opportunities that can help you reach your educational savings goals. Save in Alaska. Study anywhere. There is more information available by calling 1-888, the number 4, and then Alaska. This message sponsored by the UA College Savings Plan.
The National Weather Service.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this Monday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. On the warning chart, the winter storm warning for the northern southeast coast there, Haines on up to Skagway and the highway there ended this afternoon, but the winter storm warning continues out here for St. Lawrence Island. Right up to the Bering Strait coast, northeast winds 35 to 50 miles an hour, in some cases gusting to 70 miles per hour, resulting in visibilities reduced to half a mile in snow and blowing snow. And that's going to continue through tonight and into tomorrow. And then we also have a wind chill advisory here for the Northwest Brooks Range and the western Arctic coast for tonight into, I believe, through Tuesday night for northeast winds 15 to 35 miles an hour, and that will result in wind chills in the 50 to 55 below zero range. That won't be across the entire area, just where the winds are the strongest through the passes of the Brooks Range and places like Point Lay on down to about Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, areas like that. For the satellite imagery, yesterday we had a couple of very distinctive frontal boundaries here. Low pressure pulling into the southeast Bering Sea there, or just north of Cold Bay, and rain over the Pribilofs. The other system here right along the southeast coast, bringing the strong southeast winds gales to 40, 50, in some cases 60 miles an hour in gusts. And that's sliding up to the northeast, and one low came up across Cook Inlet. And today you'll see still there. This has rotated across to Kodiak Island, and they only picked up about 2/10 of an inch at Kodiak, but much heavier rain along the North Gulf Coast and the two usually heavy rain areas, that's Seward and Yakutat. You can see the frontal boundary pushing up, that moisture overrunning the colder air to the north, and that brought quite a bit of snow to the northern panhandle today around Haines. Picked up anywhere from 12 to 13, 14 inches total before it ended this afternoon, and still some pretty strong winds. Some of the inside water areas seeing gusts over 50 miles per hour this afternoon with rain across that area. Yakutat picking up just under 1.8 inches, 1.77 in the last 24 hours, and Seward also getting about 1.5 inches of rain, and Cordova about 4/10 of an inch. And back out to the west here, about 3/10 of an inch falling at Cold Bay with the main trough axis swinging through. Areas of snow up across the southwest interior, and then these strong winds, high pressure up here over the Russian Far East and the Arctic there. See the skies clearing out, very cold temperatures and higher pressure, so the air coming down like this, colliding with this flow coming up, the warmer conditions coming up from the southeast. And it's really where they're colliding, that's where the winds are howling through the Bering Strait today and across St. Lawrence Island. Again, gusts of as high as 70 miles an hour forecast to continue through tonight. More in the 25 to 35 mile an hour range up there along the northwest coast. Kivalina on up to Cape Lisburne, with gusts a little higher or a little less in Kivalina than they are out to those western capes there. Otherwise, not a bad day right through this part of the country or the state. Fairbanks over into Eagle and down, well, it looks like almost into the Susitna Valley with all the clouds down in this area, then breaking out behind, drying out over Kodiak Island today, as you can see, into Bristol Bay, and then a lot of showers coming in across the eastern Aleutians, and that next system out here bringing some rain and snow into Shemya and spreading toward Adak. On the chart, you can see the low out there about 985 millibars, so not all that strong. 974 here, the one that's pulled into the southeast bearing there near the Perlofts with rain and snow showers from St. Paul all the way down across the Alaska Peninsula. Rain to mixed rain and snow to freezing rain here over the Cook Inlet area. In fact, there's a freezing rain advisory out for this evening for the Anchorage area due to the freezing rain that's been falling this afternoon. And then east winds here and areas of snow, and you can see the gradient really tightens up there from St. Lawrence Island on up to the northeast through the Bering Strait and back up to the western coast there, and then flattens out again along the Arctic coast. You can see the clear skies actually showing up as the white here. Colder temperatures well below zero this afternoon, raining 20 to 30 below zero there, and then the ice up to the north, and you pick up some more clouds right through here, and another band of light snow in that position with some sunshine or clear skies down to the southeast there. And this front again, see where the lines are closest together, that's where the winds blow the strongest. North of the front, we had the heavy snow today up to the north, Haines on up towards Skagway, and then the moderate to heavy rain at times along the central coast. And for tonight, looks like that front will not move a whole lot. Flow is southeast to northwest, and the frontal boundaries lying parallel to that, so it's going to be really slow moving. So the gale force winds out tonight and along the North Gulf Coast as well, with periods of rain, possibly heavy at times. Again, mostly heaviest rain occurring up along the North Gulf Coast, and then that mixes with rain or snow inland. Could get some snow all the way up to the Alaska Range there. Some of that possibly could sneak into the Northway and Tok area, but amounts to be pretty light. Just some scattered flurries over the interior, and then a band of light snow here from the Brooks Range up to the eastern Arctic coast. And you can see the gradient increasing there on the western Arctic coast, but light winds for Barrow, and then possibly getting those gusts of 30, 35 miles an hour developing along the eastern Arctic coast, and still quite windy here through the Bering Strait into St. Lawrence Island. And Arctic front, the very cold air coming down around right to about this position here, so mixed rain and snow showers along the southwest coast, Bristol Bay, on out to just east of that frontal boundary, which is pretty close to the Perlofts there. And then this front spreading some rain onto the east, possibly reaching Nikolsky by morning with the rain and snow showers mostly on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, but nothing too heavy at all. Otherwise, not too bad. Staying fair over Kodiak Island with that low to the northeast of you, keeping those winds mostly from the west. And for tomorrow, low pressure coming northwestward here toward the North Gulf Coast. So again, looking at gale force winds here in advance of this front, and that low will be weakening as it shifts back to the north and west. So much the same weather pattern, cloudy skies, rain along the coast, a mixture here across Cook Inlet up into the valleys. Wrangell Mountains, probably see some snow, and then areas of light snow across western Cook Inlet. Be a little more extensive, looking for IFR across this area, especially on the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range, and then some possible marginal VFR, the band of snow that finds its way into the Tanana Valley, and then the very strong winds back through this area continuing. Low pressure just west of Nunivak Island. Southwest flow, pretty gusty winds with snow, it looks like. Snow levels should be down to sea level here, that colder air rotating in. So areas or periods of snow here along the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta areas, and then more of a showery condition back to the west. Still too warm for snow over the Aleutians. Look for some scattered rain showers in that area. And this front finally weakening and pushing inland slowly. And then another one moves up to take its place here that was down in this area tomorrow afternoon, pulls up to position something like that Wednesday afternoon. So back into possibly increasing winds, or they will be increasing in the afternoon here along the southeast coast. This may actually dissipate. Much stronger system down here to the south. You can see that 967 millibar low there. That's going to grab up the whole scene here of the Northeast Pacific Wednesday afternoon and night. And so Winds will be coming up across the entire area here in the afternoon. Rain pushing into the southern areas, rain and snow lighter along the North Gulf Coast, more showery condition. Right across the Kenai Peninsula, Cook and Sitna Valley areas, another band of moisture in the form of light snow or flurries there from the Eagle area or just to the north, back to the southwest into the Denali National Park and the Western Alaska Range. More extensive area up here along the Brooks Range, but North Slope areas and the Arctic coast mostly dry except for the east side there, and that snow will extend back out across Kotzebue Sound, Silowik Valley, periods of snow with the winds diminishing now. Seeing a little on the brisk side here from Point Hope on up to Point Lay, but not as strong as they have been. And this system here pulling back to the west, that's going to turn those winds more easterly and possibly southeast, or they will be southeast, but lighter here along the southwest coast. And then some bands of snow trying to approach the coastal areas here, probably only catching Nunivak Island with some flurries over the inland areas. Rain and snow showers possible the Alaska Peninsula. This band of rain trying to come up in the late afternoon, possibly reaching Sand Point, and scattered snow showers out over the Aleutians, and that next push of cold air way back to the west. For temperatures this afternoon across the southeast coast, mid-30s, where all the snow was today, up to the north at Skagway. Otherwise, 40s on down to the south, with mid-40s for the North Gulf Coast, just 5 degrees at Gulkana. Temperatures range from 31 here in Anchorage to 43 down in Homer today, and 40 degrees Kodiak Island. Up to the north, 14 at Fairbanks, and some gusty winds in Delta Junction with 26 degrees. Also 26 at Eagle, back down to 2 below at Fort Yukon, and 19 over at Tanana with 8 degrees in McGrath, 7 degrees in Bettles, and Anatuvik 13 below zero, but Arctic Village up to 10. About 10 below on the eastern Arctic coast, and where the skies are clearer. Temperatures down in the mid-20s there at Etasuk and Point Lay, -6 Cape Lisburne with strong winds. Single numbers here, Kotzebue Sound into the Kobuk Valley at Ambler, 23 in Nome, and upper teens along the Yukon Delta coast, upper 20s the Kuskokwim Valley, upper 30s over Bristol Bay, and same pattern out over the Aleutians, a little chillier here over the Pribilofs and out at Shimia. The lows for tonight, not much cooler than what you're seeing right now, right around freezing here from St. Paul, St. George area down to Shimia and Attu, lower 30s to upper 30s, and then back into the 20s and mid-30s here over Bristol Bay. Much cooler, you can see, up to the north down to 8 at Nome, and right around zero here through the central interior, and anywhere from 22, 30, 32 below up over the North Slope. And for the North Gulf Coast, quite mild, some areas near 40, in the lower 40s for the Panhandle. And for highs tomorrow, 40s for the southeast coast, and again, another mild day here for south central Alaska, up near 40 or above here, especially along the coast. Right near freezing up into the Alaska Range, and then much colder, the coldest stuff up there over the North Slope, with temperatures in the 10 to 15 below range for the highs, lower 20s, Nome, and about 31 for Macoriac. Flying weather, areas IFR here along the North Gulf Coast, especially this portion from about Yakutat west. It's all funneling right into western Prince William Sound, the east side of the Kenai Peninsula, downsloping and then upslope. Put some IFR in the western Alaska Range. IFR with the snow up to the north, and kind of an extensive area here, mostly off the coast of the Bering Sea with some breaks, but quite a lot of marginal VFR where there isn't any IFR. For Anatuvik, lowest conditions, both Anatuvik and Atigun will see the lowest conditions on the north entrance with possible IFR, VFR to the south. Lake Clark and Merrill, occasional IFR, especially on the east side. Same forecast for rainy, windy. VFR looks like at this point in time, as well as Isabel. Optimistically, all three of those passes will be VFR tomorrow. And for Tanita, lowest conditions, east entrance, highest on the west side. And for Portage, IFR. Chilkoot and White, occasionally marginal. Freezing levels with that southeast flow and the upper level ridging here, 6,000 to 8,000 feet over Canada, and some of that milder air right into the eastern interior, and colder out here over the Bering Sea, even the Gulf of Alaska. Pretty lack of lines out there, but the surface right across cutting across the northern Bering into Kamchatka Peninsula. And for icing threats, kind of a boundary here, or a band from the north slope down through the Bering Strait, kind of to the east of things there. And then for the western Aleutians, the heavier icing will be found of the moderate rime varieties in a deeper layer from the North Gulf Coast right down across the Panhandle tomorrow, mostly below 12,000 feet. And the winds aloft jet stream here, south of the area, way down into, cutting into Mexico, Baja California. We have a gentle trough right through this area, so the wind's coming up around over that big ridge over Canada. And 9,000 feet, you can see the strong winds quite well here, 40 knots. Arctic coast coming down through the Bering Strait, and then this low center here pulling some southwesterlies in, 25 to 35 knots from the southwest coast down to the peninsula. 3,000 feet, not too windy here with low pressure over south central Alaska that's coming northwestward. And then 25 to 40 knots, some cases 50 knots for the western Arctic coast, taking a turn to the south and southwest, dropping back to 30 knots over the Pribilofs. And turbulence-wise, North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, right into Turnagain, occasional moderate chop. And along the southeast coast, big area of moderate chop up here with the gusty winds from the Pribilofs, St. Lawrence Island, and then back across the Brooks Range and north slope to the eastern Arctic coast. And after hangar flying, I'll be back to look at the marine forecasts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Harry Keeling, and on behalf of Alaska Public Media and the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, welcome to Hangar Flying. We're fortunate this evening because we have Dr. Bill Rhodes back with us. Bill has been on the previous two programs talking about some of the work he's done with professional pilot ethics. And I got to tell you, he's got my attention. Some of the things, the studies that he's coming out with can definitely make us safer pilots if we just listen. Dr. Rhodes, welcome back.
Delighted to be here, Harry. Thanks.
You know, some of the phrases that I've heard you say really stick with me. And one of them is, on the ground and okay. Is that our mantra?
It ought to be. One of the characteristics of a profession is that it has a standard of care, or a set, if you will, a very basic code of what to avoid doing. In medicine, it's first do no harm. In aviation, we don't really have such a formal code that's taught. So my co-investigator, Deanna Neal, and I sat down to address that question. What is it that's the absolute standard of that you have to achieve in order to call a flight good? Well, we think it's having everybody on the ground and okay. And notice, we're on the ground and okay before we get in an airplane. So part of being a good aviator might be making the decision and sticking to the decision to stay on the ground when the conditions of the flight might threaten our all being okay.
Bill, I want to leave it, wrap this up. We've got about 4 minutes left, but I want to just make an open-ended question. What would you like to share with our audience? What else?
I'd like to see if we can't raise awareness as a community of professionals who are willing honestly to confront this problem of pilots we worry about, and not leave that unaddressed. If there's something going on in a flying community where someone is talked about behind their back, for example, I think it might be better to talk to that person to their face about the concerns. Professionals do this, and it doesn't have to be a confrontation or an accusation or anything. Rather, it's an act of professional concern to say, hey, here's something that I saw that I have some worries about. I have been flying since 1974, and I actually have a hard time getting good mentorship myself, but I never had a hard time getting that in the military. I'd like to see the practices that the military and other professions enjoy to help folks develop. I'd like to see that spread into aviation in a very deliberate way. We have a hard time sometimes being honest with each other. And I would also suggest that we ask for help. I've made that a practice now that if somebody sees something in my conduct as a pilot, I ask them to point it out to me. I want to give them permission, and I ask people to challenge me in simulators to see if they can create conditions under which my own weaknesses will be exposed to me. And I have a bad simulator outcome when that happens sometimes, and I learn a great deal, just like our participants did in the study.
You know, Bill, I hate to share a story with you, take up time, but I think about my years in the Air Force, and I flew 10 years in the A-10. And what I always remember is when we came in from a 4-ship flight, the saying was, leave your ego with your parachute and walk in. And we would walk into a debriefing, and it doesn't matter what rank you were, it doesn't matter if you're a colonel or a captain. We were honest, and we tried to benefit from the honest feedback that we provided each other. And I think that's exactly what you're asking for.
That's a big part of it. Honest accounting with a developmental edge. I'm not interested so much in weeding as I am in developing.
Minute left. What's your final thoughts?
Well, I'd like to say thanks to you and everybody who's been hosting us up in Alaska. This is, I think, my 4th trip here. I think Alaskan aviation has a great deal to teach the rest of the community. I think there's an awful lot of professionalism in this community, but it isn't widely shared in any formal way. And if there's a way we can work to make that happen, I'd be very interested in seeing if we can't share some of the wisdom that I've observed in Alaskan aviation.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for coming up. It's your presence up here, your presentations were invaluable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harry.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. A couple of thoughts. You know, we had the seminar here in Anchorage, and one of our goals in the Safety Foundation is to figure out a way to be able to broadcast it, present it statewide. We're still working on that. We may have an opportunity with using YouTube. And remember that these programs, hangar flying, are posted on our website, which is www.AASFonline.org. You can go there and watch these programs at your leisure, and you can also renew your membership for 2015 in the foundation. Doing that, renewing your membership, becoming a member, or continuing as a member helps us bring programs like this to you. So ladies and gentlemen, until next time, fly safe.
Welcome back. Look for winds lighter tomorrow here, south 20-25 knots, even lighter along the south coast there west of Prince of Wales Island. Inside waters ranging from 15 over the southern areas to 25 knots, Lynn Canal. And then on Wednesday, the next system, couple of storms coming into the northeast Pacific. Winds will be turning southeast, 20 to 25 knots here. So small craft advisories most areas by afternoon, and 15 to 20 from the southeast over the inside waters. And for Prince William Sound tomorrow, small craft advisories from the Sound down into the North Gulf Coast, and then southwest 25 knots back to the Barren Islands, 15 knots for Kodiak, and kind of a southwest flow right up Cook Inlet, but only 10 to 15. And then on Wednesday, everything reverses. Northeast winds 15 to 20. Small craft advisories here for Kamishak Bay, right down into Shelikof Strait. And then gales return here on easterly gales to the North Gulf Coast. Winds come up 25 knots, Prince William Sound, even higher gusts in the central part of that zone. And gale force winds along the east side of Kodiak Island. For Bristol Bay, southwest 25 tomorrow, and small craft advisories extend all the way down to Cape Sarachef, and then southwest 15 here on the Pacific side up to Sitkinak. For the outlook on Wednesday, forecast Wednesday, small craft advisories here, northeast winds 25 to 30 knots here on the Pacific side of the peninsula, lighter winds there, 10 knots on the Bering Sea side, but still about 20 for Bristol Bay. Out in the Aleutians, north 20 knots here for the far western zone, turning northwest, pretty light here, 15 knot winds along and south of the chain, and 20-25 on the north side. Then for Wednesday, really light winds under high pressure here. Shemya at over to just west of Adak, 10 to 15 knots. They pick up a little bit, but only 20 to 25 knots. There'll be some higher gusts though, but small craft advisory should cover it. For the northern Bering Sea, northeast 40 with gusts 50, 55 knots. St. Lawrence Island tomorrow with gales right down into the northern Bering Sea, and lighter winds south of Nunivak Island, northwest 30 for the Pribilofs. For Wednesday, much lighter winds here for the St. Paul, St. George area, down to 15 knots, turning southwest. But low pressure actually back just to the west here of St. Matthew Island, so we've got southeast winds turning east, 35 knots, St. Lawrence Island. Northerlies on the backside up to 35 knots, and that's where the really cold air is from back across west of St. Matthew Island. So freezing spray there, heavy freezing spray, St. Lawrence Island. Arctic coast, easterlies 15 to 25 on the east side, and northeast 25 to 35 knots on the west side, coming down to 20 knots for the Kotzebue Sound area. And then those turn easterly, only at 15. That'll be the light wind area there for the north of the Bering Strait, as well as the eastern Arctic coast. Otherwise, small craft advisories for northeast winds, 25 to 30 knots for the west side and the extreme east. For the forecast tonight, again, rain and wind for the panhandle of that front, and things washing out as it pushes inland to just some flurries over the interior. A band of light snow or flurries, kind of discontinuous that front, pretty weak through that area. Winter storm warning, strong winds, gusts 70 miles an hour, visibility is a half mile in snow, and blowing snow with several inches, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches falling in this area by tomorrow afternoon. You can see that extends right up into the Chukchi Sea north of the Bering Strait. Winds on the increase on the western Arctic coast, and rain and snow showers out in the Aleutians. Tomorrow, this low center pushes a batch of moisture and some gusty winds into the southwest interior, and more rain for the North Gulf Coast, and another front pushes into the Panhandle. Have a great evening.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
It's never too early to set expectations and goals for your child's education. The UA College Savings Plan provides opportunities that can help you reach your educational savings goals. Save in Alaska. Study anywhere. There is more information available by calling 1-888, the number 4, and then Alaska. This message sponsored by the UA College Savings Plan.